Hi there, I'm Coach Kenneth.
And I'm Coach Victoria.
And in this video, we're going to be talking to you about signs that your ex is bitter.
This happens.
Yeah. Unfortunately, there are many breakups where things don't end well. People get very passionate, they get very hurt, they get very angry, and it could lead to a lot of fighting. And obviously, the more intense it gets, the more likely it's going to go up in flames. It's going to get toxic. It's going to get intense. And people are going to get hurt. So we're going to talk about bitterness after a breakup and the signs that your ex might be bitter and angry and hurt towards you. Because it seems like, to me, bitterness and resentment go hand in hand. You know, they kind of go together. That the complaints that they had in the relationship haven't been healed. They haven't let it go. They haven't processed it. They haven't moved past it.
Right. And bitterness can show up in a breakup when your ex thinks that the breakup was unfair or that things were unfair in your relationship that led to a breakup.
Mm-hmm.
It could be that they don't think that you fully understand the pain that you've caused to them.
True.
Could also be that they felt you haven't suffered enough, right? Bitterness, there's an undertone of you haven't been punished enough for what's happened.
Yeah. They're still upset about
right.
it. They're seething, you know?
Similar to like a grudge, when
Yeah,
you hold a grudge against someone. And so some signs that you might see are if your ex is mean to you. And we talk on this channel about mean and cold and rude exes. And this is what we're talking about. They might still be holding on to some bitterness from the relationship.
Yeah.
They might use rude language. They might try to belittle you. In some of the ending conversations of the breakup, some of that nastiness might come out. They might be snappy towards you.
Mm-hmm.
For others, they might be more passive aggressive. Maybe they don't show their anger on their sleeve. Maybe it's more of, backhanded compliments or, other kind of sly remarks that kind of take a jab at you.
Yeah. Very true. A big one is that they speak negatively about you. They maybe to your friends or family, and they are trash talking you. And sometimes it's true, the things that they say, but sometimes it's not true. And that's one of the things you really do want to think about is like, okay, is what they're saying true? Did I do those things, or are they hurt and angry? And so if they're true, then it's kind of like, oh, you kind of maybe had it coming. I hate to say it like that, but you know what I mean? Like if you were mean to somebody and lied or cheated and did kinds of hurtful things to them, you know what I mean? They have a right to feel that way. But, if you were a relatively good partner and they're saying these things that are negative about you and they're not true, then that's really about them. So you got to kind of take a step back and look at what's happening there. You know what I mean? Another big thing that they do is they bring up those past hurts. So that would be a way to know it, right? If they're saying, well, you cheated on me and you lied about where you were going, or you lied about who you were, or whatever it might be, you hear the anger about what happened, the incident, how you handled things, blaming. That's another big sign.
Right, and how they handle it makes a really big difference because, there could be certain events in a relationship that really do hurt your partner, and if they are able to bring it up in a clear way, in a communicative way to say, hey, these are the reasons why the relationship ends, you can really tell a lot from a person's tone, from their body language, how they choose to express things. The bitterness really comes from that kind of blaming language. You're causing me to continue to feel hurt and stay stuck in this.
Yeah.
And so that's really where you see some of that bitterness. And for some of you, you might be thinking, is my ex in no contact because they are bitter? Is my ex not reaching out to me because they are bitter?
Yeah.
We can't say we have a clear answer for that, right? We can't say yes or no. We don't know your situation. But if that is the case, then they need that space.
Absolutely. One thing that you might see them do, and if you're in no contact, it would be them posting on social media. Boy, social media has allowed for a lot of new dynamics that we haven't seen in the past. So you can see a lot of hostile things in your stories, in your posts. We saw one recently about the mistress.
Oh, yeah. So
right?
sometimes on social
A
media,
picture of someone looking really good and being like, and then a sly comment about a mistress.
and sometimes they can be pretty harsh, because they can be like keyboard warriors, is what they're called?
Yeah.
Keyboard warriors, where they might be making posts or notes or whatever it might be public just
Yeah.
about their anger. And
Yeah.
so you're stalking, trying to see what's up with them, trying to see what they're doing, and you see these kind of things that seem to be directed at you. There's nobody else that they would be directed to. And so then these things can kind of make you think, well, maybe this person's still holding on to a lot of anger and hurt.
Yeah, like posting pictures to
Mm-hmm.
make you jealous. I'm going on vacation.
Mm-hmm.
Here's a picture of me on vacation and a comment about the mistress, right?
We've joked about this before. Sometimes they have friends pretend to be, somebody who's their partner. Maybe they'll have one of their guy friends and
Yeah.
I don't know, acting or
A
something.
leg in the background,
Yeah.
a hand on the glass.
Something like that.
Yeah, right? Things like that.
So these things could happen.
Yeah, they want to hurt you. They want to get back at you. They're angry.
Mm-hmm.
They're bitter.
And so what do you do when you have an ex that's bitter, that you have an ex that's angry, right? We can't control what they feel or what they think of you. And a lot of us, we get defensive. Oh my God, I can't believe they're doing this and I'm not that. And they're telling everybody this and they're so mean to me and they're so rude. A lot of times we can focus so much on that. And then we ourselves lose grasp of our reality. We ourselves lose grasp of our maturity.
Yep.
We try to, when they go low, we go lower kind of thing.
Don't do it.
Right? And so first and foremost, think maturely. I know for some of you, what Margaret has said in the past, act like an adult, has been a very helpful phrase.
Yeah.
Something that I think about sometimes too. I'm like, wow, like you're an adult, act like an adult, right?
Yeah.
And so whatever phrase is helpful to you, maybe the phrase is get it together, right? If you're feeling emotionally out of whack, get it together. So think maturely, think about the ways that you want to respond to these things. Remember to take a pause if you see something that's alarming or if you're sensing that kind of bitterness.
Yeah. If you react impulsively, because you get triggered by whatever they're posting, they kind of feel like, it worked. I got them. And it's not usually going to lead to any kind of healthy interaction, just a big fight and making it worse.
Yeah. And something that can also change your perspective here is that from your ex's point of view, this probably is stemming from a lot of hurt. People aren't bitter for fun. Maybe some people are, but people aren't bitter because they're happy. People aren't bitter because they, feel secure and safe and all of these things. People are bitter because they're hurt.
Mm-hmm.
So taking a look at it from that perspective can kind of help you also back off and say, okay, wait a minute, this is not an altercation. This isn't a fight. This isn't like a one-on-one, we're trying to get at each other to see who wins the fight and who's right. This is about how can I try to understand this hurt that has happened? How can I also give this person space to be angry while also protecting myself, right? So think about their hurt through this and be able to set appropriate boundaries. Some of us get sucked in because we all have heard, when we talk about young kids who kind of do mischievous or rebellious kind of behavior, and we say, well, even negative attention is attention, right? So sometimes we can get sucked into the drama with our ex and we think, well, our ex is talking about us on her social media, on his social media. That's me on there, right? They're still thinking about me and I like that.
Yeah.
Right? But we have to think maturely about things, right? We can get sucked into this and we might like even the negative attention. We have to go beyond this. If we want a healthy relationship, we have to be able to set boundaries, to be able to distance yourself from some of the drama. Don't tolerate any kind of mistreatment that's coming from your ex, and don't get into the petty argument. Think about how can I handle this respectfully as possible.
Yeah, if you get caught up in that, it's just going to make it worse. It's going to lead to more fighting, more arguments, and it's just going to push you guys further apart. As hard as it is, time and space really allows for good things to happen. It allows for people to process things, to cool off, to see things more clearly, to realize that things that hurt them weren't that big of a deal. If they weren't a big deal, of course.
Depending.
Yeah, right. Like, in other words, some things that may have felt very important in the moment, they realize, you know what, it really wasn't that big of a deal, that they didn't want to go see that movie that day, that I got so hurt and so upset and took it so personal.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So time and space really allows for perspectives to change, allows us to miss each other, to value each other more, and say, God, I don't really want to lose this person over that, or those small things. And just allows anger to subside in some cases.
Mhm.
Not always, because, sometimes anger is healthy to protect you.
Mhm.
But if you allow them to reach out when they're ready directly, not a post on
Right.
Instagram, not a story, not a comment about narcissists. That's a big one that comes up, right? That is going to be a lot more likely to be them coming from a place of trying to see what's going on with you, and maybe leading to an honest conversation where you can take things slow and see if you can repair it.
Exactly. You want to allow them to initiate, and they will when they're ready. And what I mean by initiate is initiate in a calm way when they're ready to have a mature conversation about it, not initiating by sending you some angry text and you're like, oh, they reached out, they initiated.
Yeah,
Let's initiate back. No. We have to think about this from a mature perspective, right?
that's right.
There are a lot of resources out there on how to improve your communication skills. There's also therapy that we recommend. And there's also us. We also help through these kind of situations the best we can. We help to guide you through on how to navigate some of these kind of more complicated aspects of breakups.
Absolutely. If you'd like to get our help personally, you can do it on my website, askcraig.net. I do email coaching and I do Skype. Coach Victoria is also available for Skype coaching.
I'm here whenever you'd like to chat.
Just click on her name at the top of the website to schedule with her. But that's it for this video. I'm Coach Craig Kenneth.
And I'm Coach Victoria.
And we will talk with you soon.